Mic test one, two, three. Abhishek, can you hear me? Okay. So first of all, a very warm good afternoon and welcome to our second. Sorry for the technical issues which we are trying to fix, and thank you so much for your patience. So today we are here with something very, very important. But before I take you to today to the main part, the report that we are going to tell you, I want to tell you about a quotation of a quote, or we can say a saying that our founder Arul always tells us. He says that nobody is 100% secure. Nobody in cybersecurity trend can say everything is 100%. Every time we keep on adding layer and make cyber domain more secure for the world to continue. So here am I, Abhishek. I'm the client advisor for the Brisk InfoSec. And today I want to thank all of you today to join in on this very special LinkedIn Live where we are going to take you across what is called as threat intelligence, cyber threat intelligence report, or in short, it's called as OSINT report. So let us go and keep going. So the first and the very important part about cyber threat intelligence report is it is what we have renamed in Brisk InfoSec. We call this as cyber threat intelligence report. But if you go around the world, this is called as OSINT report, open source intelligence report. So what it is basically the collection of data that we collect out of the public domain. For example, you may be having a website, and on that website there might be many kind of private data like email IDs and whatnot. So when we run the OSINT report, which I will run you across, how do we do that? What happens, which is exposed to the public, in the sense exposed to everybody. You might be thinking that data is only restricted to your website. No, but that data may be exposed to everybody in the world, and that is the point. We'll bring it in the report and tell you, you know what, your email ID is exposed to ABC, PQR, wherever. So this is the OSINT report. Today we are going to run it. About us, who we are. We are the Brisk InfoSec. We are the security providers, which means in this place, in my office, everyone, all of us are only working one. The cyber domain is absolutely protected. All the digital assets. Logo here, maybe not clear because of the mic, but this is it here. We are the InfoSec. Now, coming on to the first important point, why is the report so important? Number of data. Your website, if you have a website, you might be having a lot of sensitive data. Let's, for example, the email of your employees or your employees ticket number, employee ID number, and whatnot, even customer information. So in OSINT report, what we do is after running a process, we do that, you know what, all this data has been exposed out in the public, like on the dark web or whatever. That's the first thing. Number two, or pull. What does it mean? Developers are developing a website. They're following series of codes. Mostly these codes are so mechanical in a sort that they keep on. What happens is that since most of the people use the same code, the repository, if the repository of those codes get exposed out, means whatever you have used to build your website, the whole code is exposed. And once that is exposed, that makes your website an open gateway for any hacker, or especially a trained hacker, to come to you wants to do. So that is what it means, be push. The third one, the repository, I already explained you. So that I mean during the code that people use get exposed, and once that code get exposed, that is again an open gateway for any hacker to come inside and do whatever they want to do, which is the worst scenario. Why is OSINT, the open source intelligence report, has no equivalent? What does I mean when I say this? What do I mean? Number one, There is another very, very important testing happening that is called as VAPT, that is vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Now, people might be aware, yes, Abhishek, know what is VAPT. I'm not here to explain that. What I want you to VAPT particularly focuses on particular application, what you want to test it. On the contrary, OSINT focuses completely on the data that is being exposed. Yes, in today's world, you can see many multinationals getting bitch about the data. And you might say, Abhishek, you know what? I really don't care if my data is exposed. I'm not going to care much about it. But you know what? It is not the data that affects you. It is the reputation of the company that gets tarnished forever, which is what the issue. OSINT helps you. What is the data that is being exposed to the public and a way out how to protect that. So once you know that, okay, Abhishek email IDs are exposed, you know what? I know how to work that out. So this is the first thing. Number two, these decision monitoring lots are the kind of tools that are available. They're mostly automated tools, but they're very, very, very expensive. Very expensive. So people are trying to protect their data because they know they're getting exposed. So they're using here is personally, you don't need to go for dark web monitoring. You don't need to go for reputation monitoring because OSINT report has been ran properly, because OSINT report has to be run manually by trained cybersecurity. But the challenge is dynamic cybersecurity problems requires dynamic solution. That means who know what is happening, like a trained ethical hackers, which we have on board, they will do this report everything so precisely, which of course robotics cannot. That is what I say. In OSINT report, the ethical hackers think like exactly like hacker. They know what to do. They know how hacker would have thought, and they work it out. Now, coming on to the next point, you can say, Abhishek, what are the things you are going to tell in OSINT report? The first and the foremost thing you can see is your exposed email IDs. Absolutely. So what's going to happen is that when you open the OSINT report, which of course at the end of this presentation, I'm going to take you across a sample report, you can actually see for yourself your entire email IDs was being exposed. And we have seen it. Certain organizations literally had 700 to 800 email IDs exposed. Now your question comes, okay, Abhishek, my email ID, what worst is going to happen? Email is a mode of communication, right? So if it is being exposed, what is the big issue here? Email IDs in general, you guys used to communicate with each other at company level. Okay, that's great. But certain times can be spoofed. I mean, somebody can spoof into your use this email ID to have many, many different kinds of phishing attack, social engineering attack. So your email ID is a gateway to so many things. Also, your if they can hack your email IDs and they work out on the passwords, gone. They can enter into so many various domains. They can have so much information right from finance post, what not has exposed. So the first page of the report usually will have the exposed email IDs from your web. What else? Technology being used. For example, you are running a company. Definitely you have a human resource executives. And this human resource executives will be sending out recruitments. So they might be sending out recruitment notices. Okay, for example, we need XYZ employee or to work with us who has a knowledge of PHP. Let's presume an example of that. Now, when they tell PHP, this particular version, or any software, this particular version, for example, say Java, we want candidate. And that is actually was internal communication, right? And when this get exposed out, the technology gets exposed, which technology you are using at your side in your company, the hackers exactly understand that. The point is that technologies are getting evolved every day. So for example, for some reasons you're using an outdated versions or outdated technologies, the hackers know very well, you know what, we know this technology, we know the drawback of this particular application or software because this is not the latest ones, because everybody knows the patches available or the vulnerabilities available. available, they hack into it and sit. So these are the things in OSINT report you'll come to know what applications or versions of those applications exposed to the public. One is called the password exposure. This is such a dangerous case study. Why can we say it is dangerous? Let's take a case study. You have an email ID, for example, say abhishek@abc.com. That's the name of my company. It's a fictional email ID. This email ID was given to me from the company. That means I should use it for the company. But for some beautiful reasons, I use it.com to buy a gift for my wife. For example, I have used a particular password there, right? Now the password, when it get exposed here, now the hackers can use this password there, Amazon. On the contrary, let's go the other way around. I have a personal ID, kokate.abhishek@abc.com. That's my personal ID. And I'm using it Amazon. For some reason, Amazon gets compromised, can happen, or any e-commerce website got compromised, and they came to know, all the hackers got all the data of passwords and email IDs. Generally, any human being or most of the human beings tend to keep these passwords combinations for the professional and personal. It tend to happen. I think 60 to 70% people do that. It's just being human. Now, what problem is that when that data is exposed, hackers the password on e-commerce website. Let me try it at Abhishek's workplace. And for some reason, if password done, people can hack in very easily. This is the biggest issue with password exposure. Now coming to the score, what we do at the end of the OSINT report is we ran across what is called as a score. A, B, C, D. A and B can be mid and moderate. I'll show you when I run the report across to you. C is a moderate exposure and D is a very harmful level. Means you have so much that you cannot even expect out in the public domain and that can go against you. So these are the categories that we give so that people can understand where they really stand, the companies. Now I will stop my screen sharing and I will share with you a report, a cyber threat intelligence report. How does it look like? So this is the sample report that's in front of you. I hope you can see that. Just a moment. Yeah. So this is how the report will look like. For example, sparse name, risk infosec. It's a test sample report. And let me tell you how it goes. So, coming to the grades, these are the grades that I was talking about. After going through the whole report, we will give you grades. The engineers here will give you grade A, B, C. So, based on that, you will come to know where you see D. D is one with having highest amount of public data exposed. Then it was grade C with moderate amount. So after going through all this calculation, they come up with this. I would always suggest if you have a D or C, please do take care and look into that developmental issues faced and has been reported in the OSINT report. Now let's move on to the new other page. This is the one I was talking about, the email address being exposed. So as I told you at the start, the biggest data of everybody is the email IDs. So here you can see the sample. We can tell you in the OSINT report, these were the email IDs that were exposed out in the public. Now, what can happen, as I earlier told you, a social engineering attack can happen, a phishing attack can happen, a spoofing attack can happen. So, do we just report directly without giving you any evidence? Of course not. In today's world, we all go by logic. So, if we report that your email ID has been exposed, it is our duty. Why we think the email IDs were exposed with the evidence. So here, our engineers have given the domain is spoofable. There is no SPF records and there is no DMARC record also. These two are absolutely important. If you really make sure the spams, the email really spam, go to the spam folder. If you don't have this SPF or DMARC, those emails can travel into inboxes, not yours, your employees, and a social engineering attack can happen. They can click on the malware and whatnot can happen. This is a very important thing that I want to tell you. If I have an email ID, go add whatever. I think my password I have not given to anybody. So use my password. Let me tell you, it's kind of, if a spoofing has to happen, the hacker can easily use your email ID, email to your friend, and your friend can actually cannot distinguish unless until he or she knows you, and can have a communication, especially related to money. A couple of months back, I had the same attack on my personal email saying that one of needs money. That was exactly of my friend's email ID only. It was not at all anything change in that. I read it, but for some reason I was not very much sure whether this is what my friend need. I pulled up a call and I called him, and he said, "You know what, Abhishek? That's wrong. That's not me. Something wrong." And that is my friends or viewers and watchers in the audience called a spoofing attack. This is what happens when your email IDs are exposed. If they know you very, very well, they can really attack you. Next, as we already discussed, the backend technology and the framework. So generally in the OSINT report, our engineers tell people what are the backend technology and the framework exposed. First one, for example, let's take an example here. The editors, these are the softwares or the application used by the companies like Ubuntu, Linux, PHP, Adobe Flash, whatever, including the latest version numbers. Now, as I told you, every software, every application go through a development phase, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So they have different versions. So if the hackers come to know that your particular version, they definitely know or the gaps in their application. If they know that, they can, for example, Windows 7. There are so much compromises in Windows 7. So if I'm a hacker and I know my potential attacking, who I want to attack, is immediately go and exploit that vulnerability. So this is what is being exposed apart from your email IDs. Threat vectors. So these are the absolutely evidences given, what and all things have gone wrong and how it is being exposed to the people, public rather. Let's go back. This is called sensitive data. So a lot of sensitive data can be exposed. Example, if you can see here, if you can clearly see here, a backup file in the server is being exposed. Now that backup file can have whatever information. It can have financial information, personal information, official information, which should not be ever made to public. And for some reason, it falls into the attacker's hand, gone. So in OSINT report, we will tell you, you know what? This file is pretty visible. Why don't you do something about it? And we'll suggest you the steps how you can stop doing it. Some sensitive data, as I told you, it is exposed like keys to the applications, to AVS. It's all exposed here. Go back down. Also, the login pages here. Sometimes what happens is that every company has a login. A login for customers is in developers access, like admin have special rights. So if for some reason they come out this particular thing, login, very easily, and for some reason if the developer is using the same password or his personal open ID and this ID is the same, they can easily and go to the development stage and they can do whatever they want to do with the coding of the particular application or the website. So this is what we're talking about in the report, and this is the list of compromised data that is gone into the public and send it to you, and a lot of how it can be averted, how it can be stopped. We will work on that also with you. So this is all in all about the OSINT report that I was talking about on my screen. Okay, and I think it stopped. So this was the whole presentation, as we call here at Cyber Threat Intelligence Report. The whole purview of today's, you understand that data is important and data is used severely against you without your own wish. So we want to make sure that understand what is OSINT report. If you're running a website, you're running whatever, the least thing you can do is to have an OSINT report to make understand that what is the data that has been exposed to the public and how you can stop it. Because once you know what the disease is, immediately consult a doctor and work on the diagnosis. So once you know what data has been exposed and how, you work with your development team and fix it. Because at the end of the day, in this InfoSec, we want to make sure that everyone around, whoever is listening and who is associated with us and whoever, to make their digital assets possible. One small thing, if you want us to run the OSINT cyber threat intelligence report for you, it just costs $250. Absolutely, that's it. We will take 2 or 3 days and come back to you with the report. Not just that, we will run you across in detail with the people who has done it, how they went through this, and they will tell you how you can stop it also with just $250. Yeah, that's it. That is what is cost you for the OSINT report. With this, let me your bye for today's live. Thank you so much for joining us today's live. If you have got any questions associated with report or whatever we spoke today, please do reach out to us. If you're watching this, we are on the page. You can drop us a question, connect with us, connect with me. I'm there on the LinkedIn, and do a question and we are there to answer. We are always there to answer it. Thank you so much again. Till next time, stay safe online because your security matters, and for Brisk, it matters the most. Take care.